There's a big problem in the Western video game industry. Developers are afraid to include attractive women in their games, and who can blame them? There are nuts out there who will drag studios through the mud if they have a female character in one of their games that even has the slightest bit of sex appeal. The woke feminists will start screaming that the character is objectifying women. Game and media sites like The Gamer will run with the theory that the game is sexist, and white knights will talk about how unrealistic that character is. Truth be told, this is only a problem that the video game industry faces in the West. In fact, I would say wokeness as a whole is mostly a Western problem. We see Western video game studios placing an emphasis on all the wrong things. Things like diversity, gender identity politics, real world issues, and stuff like that, instead of focusing on the things that actually matter, like the story to the game that they are creating. Can you imagine how good The Last of Us Part 2 would have been if Neil Cuckman spent as much time on the story as he did with trying to push his own ideological beliefs onto an audience who just wanted to play a game because I can. And if he was focused on delivering us a good story instead of trying to force his beliefs onto a fan base, The Last of Us Part 2 wouldn't have gotten nearly as much hate as it did. Asian studios don't face this problem. They rarely include modern day issues in their games. When they make a game, they are focused on one thing: making a game. As a result, they have a give no crap attitude when it comes to woke politics, and I absolutely love it. One upcoming game from South Korean studio Shift Up, called Stellar Blade, is the perfect example of this. Stellar Blade was surrounded in controversy because they didn't make their main character ugly. Instead, they actually made her look hot, and the WOKIES were not happy with this. They took to the forums, complaining that her looks are unrealistic, that she was just meant as a piece of eye candy, that the developers were sexist, and all the other buzzwords you expect to hear from these people. But their bitching has backfired gloriously, because it was recently revealed that the character that is so unrealistic is actually based on a real world model who looks exactly like this character. The problem that we constantly run into with these types of people is that they believe there is no way in hell that attractive people actually exist. So they believe that an accurate representation of a woman is someone who is ugly to mid at best. But that couldn't be farther from the truth, because I would argue that there are a lot more attractive people out there than there are ugly people. Yet video game studios still listen to these idiots on a day-to-day basis. People who don't even play games but just want something to bitch about. Just look at this post on Reset Era. This is the title of the post: why women criticize sexualized character designs. Her ass is a part of her character. And the subheading for this post is, surely that title can't be an actual quote by an actual Reset Era poster. I hear you say, to which I reply, oh, my sweet summer child. This thread was made by a user named Persephone, and the very first line should tell us all we need to know about her. I used to give a fuck about making these OPs seem professional, so the gamers wouldn't be scared array, but I do not give a fuck anymore. So here's the lowdown. From the way she uses gamers, it seems to me that she does not consider herself a part of this community, yet she has no problems criticizing these games. In fact, I went through this thread just a little bit, and the conversation at one point does turn towards Stellar Blade and how apparently the protagonist is bad because she is attractive, which this argument in itself is a form of sexism. But what makes this entire thing funny is that the 309-page thread is mostly just one big echo chamber of people patting each other on their back for apparently not being sexist and being against games like Stellar Blade. It seems that these types of people wouldn't even buy the game to begin with because they are just looking for something to bitch about. It is the same thing with anybody who follows the woke ideology, and that includes feminists. It is because of people like Persephone that Western game studios continuously uglify their women in games. We had the major downgrade of Mary Jane in Spider-Man 2. There's Ellie and Abby from The Last of Us 2, Aloy from Horizon Forbidden West, who looks like they just got stung by a bee, and whatever the hell this thing is from Fable 4. I am a huge Fable fan. I grew up playing this series. I was excited as hell for Fable 4 until words like modern audience started to be thrown around when it came to the development of this game. And after watching the trailer and seeing that this thing here is the potential protagonist of the game, I am just completely turned off from it. There's having ugly female characters in a game, and then there's having female characters in a game that are that ugly you cannot tell if they are meant to be trans or not, because this character does look like a man pretending to be a woman. And with the current state of the video game industry, I would not be surprised in the least if this was the case. Now, before you hop down my throat saying that these characters are actually modeled after real life people, so I am essentially calling another human ugly, let me say a few things. 1. I am an ugly person, so I've got the ugly word passed, so shut the hell up. And 2, even though they are modeled after real life people, their real life counterparts look 100 times better than the actual characters we see in game. But because of the WOKIES, we see that game studios are afraid to make attractive women, so they don't do a one-on-one resemblance from the real-life model to the video game character model. Instead, they often push in the opposite direction, making them ugly, erasing any traces of sex appeal that the character has, and often pushing them to be more masculine, which is bonkers. Having over-sexualized characters can be a bit cringy, but having a character with no realistic sexualized traits or features is even more stupid. But this outrage we see around over-sexualization only ever happens when it comes to female characters. There is a huge double standard when it comes to the over-sexualization of characters in video games. People have no problem if a male character is half naked and has the body of a Greek god, but do that with the female characters and the WOKIES lose their minds. And this is the main problem I have with these people. I've said it before in other videos and I will say it again. It is the double standard and hypocrisy that these artards live by. There is nothing wrong with having attractive characters in a game. It is not sexist to have female characters who actually look like women, because not all women are ugly. It's not unrealistic, it's not misogynistic, it is just idiotic if you think it is. The only people this bothers are people who wouldn't buy the game in the first place. Growing up as a fat kid, I never once thought, geez, I hate how there's never a fat protagonist in these games that I play. It is so unrealistic. Because when I played a game, I played it for pure enjoyment. That is what games are meant for. If you go and play a game and then bitch about things like how a character looks unrealistic or how there isn't enough representation in the game, you are a huge artard. Studios need to stop listening to the minority. Even though they often have the loudest voice, they are often the most dumbest. Asian studios have the right mindset. Just keep the woke politics out of video games, because frankly, it has no place in it. In fact, this woke cancer has no place in society whatsoever. I honestly cannot wait until Stellar Blade comes out, because thanks to this outrage from the woke mob, this is another game that I'm going to be buying because I want to support these developers. If you've made it to the end of this video, hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell, as it would greatly help a fella out. And be sure to let me know what you think down below about Western video game studios continuously uglifying women in video games. Hope all you guys have an amazing, wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.